Women do not owe men their bodies. I don't know how else to get that one through to you, bestie.
I know this wasn't directed at me, but I think I can jump in here and have a chat and maybe we can be besties.
Women do not owe you your bodies.
Okay, I actually agree with you on that. But I have a question for you. Why is it always phrased that way, that women do not owe you their bodies? How come we never question it about men owing women's what? Oh, we're not allowed to talk about that. Ooh, sorry. All right, I'll let it go.
I'm so sick and tired of having to defend women
Well, okay. And I'm kind of sick and tired of having to defend men, but let's go on.
who think they owe men their bodies or they're going to cheat on them, because if it's roles reversed, the woman is absolutely villainized for looking elsewhere.
Oh my. Now, I'll be the first to say that cheating, that should never be an option. But to say that women get villainized for it, implying that men don't, you got to be kidding me, right?
If you commit to somebody and they're not putting out, that is not a reason that's even valid to cheat on them. That's fucking disgusting.
All right, so the fact that women cheat as much, if not more, than men do, let's bring that into the conversation, shall we?
If your woman does not want to give you intimacy, that is a reflection on yourself and whatever needs you are not meeting, and you need to look within.
Ah, yes, the inevitable. If you're not getting intimacy from a woman, it's the man's fault. Conversely, if a woman's not getting intimacy from a man, guess what? It's also the man's fault. Kind of like with that cheating that, when men do it, it's horrible. But when women do it, that's the guy's fault because he's not meeting her needs.
And see what you are doing wrong. That is not just your hall pass to go fuck whatever you want. That's disgusting. And you made a choice, if you get married, to be a faithful husband.
Ah, now we're getting into it. So again, it's painted as all the man's fault, not attributing anything to the woman. And you expect the man to be faithful, yet ignoring the fact that part of that marital contract, the one where you're going to forsake all others, kind of implicit in that is that, well, you're going to take care of his needs too. But again, you're stating those aren't relevant. It does not matter. And it's his fault that they're not being met.
Cheating is never okay. Stop blaming victims and be accountable.
Again, I agree with you. Cheating is never okay. But who's the one who's really blaming the victims here? Because your assumption is it's always, always the man's fault that this situation occurs.
I'm so fucking tired of shitty men coming to defend other shitty men in my comments. It's disgusting.
And again, we're blaming the men, calling them shitty. And I'm sure you'll apply that label to me too, because that's the way you try and silence men for sharing their feelings and speaking out and trying to express their side of the story. Again, I'm not defending cheating, but there is more going on than it's just men's fault.
I don't know how else to break this down to you, but you are not entitled to somebody else's body.
Again, we agree. But I want to ask you this. Why do you think you're entitled to his body? Why do you think you're entitled to control his body? Because if a woman is denying a man intimacy, but telling him that he can't go get any elsewhere, that is a form of control. It is a form of control over his body. Because the fact of the matter is, that is what you think. This is about power and control. Because if a man is not getting intimacy for a woman and wants to leave, what's going to happen? She's going to run to the courts. She's going to get the house, the kids, the car, and half his income. You know it. I know it. She knows it. And that's why women know they can get away with that power and control and deny men intimacy and find a million reasons to validate that. Or do as you've done through this entire video, absolve yourself of responsibility and put all the blame on the man. Even if he did nothing wrong, even if he was entirely faithful and did everything right, she can simply say, nope, I'm going to deny you intimacy as a form of power and control. It's actually considered a form of domestic violence. You might want to go check that out.
You are not entitled to women's bodies.
Again, we completely agree. But the difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying is women aren't entitled to control men's bodies also.
They are people with feelings. They are not objects.
And men are different. They're not people. They don't have feelings. Because I haven't heard a single thing about that.
Who are just here for sex, to pleasure you.
And I could say that men don't exist to be your wallet, to provide for you. And yet, one of the biggest factors, if not the biggest factor, that will determine whether a woman will be intimate with a man is whether or not he can provide for her, or to what level he is providing for her.
They're not a pet. They're not a toy. They're human beings who
Couldn't agree more. Women are human beings. They aren't pets. But neither are men. But yet, it's pretty obvious you don't agree with that.
you chose a partnership with. And if you are not meeting those standards to make them want intimacy with you, check yourself.
And there it is again. The entire blame lies on the man. 100%. In other words, all of her needs, they matter and need to be met. His needs, they don't matter. They don't need to be met. And women have absolutely zero obligation to contribute to a relationship in whatever form that might be. And again, let me be very, very clear here. No one, man or woman, should be obligated to give up their body to another person for any reason if they don't wish to. But along with that, it also doesn't give you the right to deny another human being intimacy and use threats like divorce to control them and deny them that intimacy. Because denying a human being intimacy is every bit as bad as forcing it on someone else. Something that never becomes part of the conversation. It's cut and dried, black and white. It's blame all men and absolve all women. And the real design behind it is to make sure that we can't come together, work together, and find an amicable solution. No, it's to spread division and create an even bigger war between the genders. And it ignores the human condition, which is that we all need intimacy in our lives. Instead, as I've mentioned, it becomes about power and control. And it's why men are simply done. It's why they're walking away from dating. It's why they're walking away from relationships. It's why they're walking away from marriage. Because they're no longer going to allow that control to be waged over them. Again, I am not in any way justifying cheating, and I am not in any way saying that you should force another human being into intimacy. But the other side of the coin needs to be part of the discussion. And if you choose not to be intimate with your partner, whether you're a man or a woman, that's fine. But you need to let them go, let them walk away, and not take everything they have or threaten to keep them in line.